What is going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new video. And today we're going to be breaking down the most busted mid laner right now, especially if you are a spammer. If you're a Tinker spammer right now, you're pretty much winning the grand majority of your games. This hero is just absolutely busted. They tried to nerf him in the last patch of 7.38c. Didn't matter. I still think Tinker is the most busted mid laner right now, and it's very difficult to stop this hero if you're good at him. Now, if you're an average Tinker player or you're just getting started on the hero, you're going to have like not a whole lot of impact. You're gonna actually feed most of the time and not do a whole lot. But this is where Tinker spammers actually get their bread and butter. It's been a while before Tinker has been a good hero, and now the last few patches Tinker has been taking over games, especially in lower MMR where there's a bunch of smurfs. There's a lot of people that have been complaining that there's a lot of smurfs playing Tinker on their games, and it feels really impossible for players to take care of him if not coordinated properly, or if the draft isn't good against Tinker. Now, even in pro level pubs, Tinker is still taking over the game, so the lower you go, the harder it is to coordinate to take down a hero like Tinker. One of the reasons why that is because Translocator is one of his facets, and that's what makes this hero so unkillable, is because now that you can't refresh blink, you have Translocator, which means when your defense matrix barrier is fully absorbed, you blink into a random forward direction. That is your blink. That is what makes you insanely hard to kill, because back in the day you used to just refresh your blink and just keep constantly spamming your blink dagger and blinking away, and you can pretty much cross the map in a few blinks. Now, honestly, it was absolutely insane, but the way it is now is that you're constantly using your defense matrix first, and then you use the rest of your kit. That way, if you get jumped on, you're able to get that blink constantly. So it's so hard to target this hero, so you need items like Eul Scepter and Nullifier to take care of the Tinker. Now, there is a lot of games where you don't have the right hero to build a Nullifier, and that's what a lot of these Tinker specialists will take advantage of. Heroes like Drow Ranger don't want to build a Nullifier, so if you're facing up against a carry Drow and maybe like a mid Invoker on paper is really good up against Tinker, but if there's no Nullifier, no Euls in the game, you're tough. You're shit out of luck. And Euls is kind of like a really soft counter. Nullifier is the really big counter because it takes off defense matrix. He's not able to get his Wind Waker off, which is an item that most Tinker players will get eventually. It's super strong to have on the Tinker. Eul Scepter is just kind of going to get you there. It's going to get rid of his defense matrix early on, but once he has his own Wind Waker, you're not going to be doing a whole lot to the hero. So make sure you guys are itemizing to take care of the Tinker if he's starting to become an issue, because really good Tinker players, they're going to start off very casual. They're going to be farming a lot. They're going to be split pushing waves. They're not going to really be getting too involved in the fights as much unless they get their Aghanim Scepter timing. Once they get Aghanim Scepter and they already have Kaya and Ether Lens, that is their go time, guys. They're going to be doing so much damage around the map. Laser is doing so much, and it stacks, and it's just way too tough. And against melee heroes who don't have a whole lot of tools to get on top of the Tinker are going to be struggling against the laser. Let's break down your typical build on mid Tinker right now. So items like Null Talisman and Blink Dagger are essential. You can stretch out the Null Talisman if you don't really want to, but I think it's a really good addition early on, especially if it's a harder mid lane. You could go for an item like Null Talisman to boost up that mana and do a little bit better. And then you have Kaya to help you with that mana regen and help you to be more sustainable around the map, get more spells out. Kaya is just always really good. You're eventually going to upgrade your Kaya later on to a Yasha Kaya. Yasha Kaya is really good on Tinker right now, and I think Yasha Kaya as an item is extremely underrated right now. Then you're going to be going for items like Aghanim Scepter and E-Blade, which are going to help you just scale and do a lot more damage as you can be. Some people like to go for Dagon, some people like to get a Shivas, some people like to get a Wind Waker. You're going to need a defensive item, especially in tougher games. You could go for items like BKB, but typically you want to have a Wind Waker. It usually saves you more than BKB. That's what makes the hero super tough. Your lineup has to be good against Tinker, and even if it's not, you have to itemize to deal with the Tinker, because he's more than likely going to be the biggest issue in your game. And when you're committing so much resources to take out this pesky Tinker, the rest of the enemy team is not getting focused as hard, and it's very tough if your lineup isn't good up against Tinker to focus him, get him out of the way, and still be able to have a lot of cooldowns to be able to go up against the rest of the enemy heroes. And that's one of the reasons why I think the hero is just insane. Even though the hero can get picked off, the amount of value Tinker provides for his team right now is insane. You're pushing the waves constantly. Every single wave is getting pushed in thanks to March of the Machines, and thanks to Tinker's ability to just be on the map anywhere at any time doing whatever he wants to be doing, and it's very tough to keep up with him. So heroes like Nature's Prophet have been picked before to try and counteract the Tinker. It can do something, but you need a lot more than that. Nature's Prophet cannot do it on his own, and Tinker most likely will just end up eating the Nature's Prophet for breakfast. So you could kind of counteract the push, but you're not going to be able to pick him off as much. It's just a tough matchup prefer the Nature's Prophet because of how much burst the Tinker can provide and how quick he can get on top of him. And by having all those lanes pushed, you're going to have vision on your side. You're going to be able to see where the enemy is because they have to respond to these lanes. Otherwise, you're going to be taking free towers. And even when your team loses a team fight and Tinker did not die, you can easily push out the waves, cut the waves. The enemy team is going to have such a hard time getting actual high ground. And that's another benefit to Tinker. High ground defense is absolutely insane on the Tinker. March of the Machines has always been one of these toxic abilities that if you're really fast at spamming it, you're getting a ton of value and a ton of damage, especially in the laning phase. March of the Machines does a shit ton of damage, guys, especially if you're playing a hero that cannot avoid the damage. It is rough sometimes. That's why support Tinker is being played on position 5 and position 4. The hero is still really insane, and having defense matrix on all your allies is always going to feel really good. And obviously laser and March of the Machines on a support is really good. You can still push waves as a support as well. You get yourself a blink dagger, and you can also build support items like solar crest and such. There's a whole lot of things you can do on support Tinker, but that would be picked with the repair bots facet, which heals everyone as the March of the Machines is going through. Everyone's getting healed. So on support Tinker, you play on the different facet. Let's talk about some of the best and worst matchups for Tinker, which I'm sure a lot of you guys want to hear. If you are struggling against Tinkers, you want to be able to see this hero coming, and you want to be prepared if he is in your game on what heroes you guys should be picking. So some of the matchups you are good up against this Tinker is Morphling, Troll Warlord, Wraith King, Ursa, Kez, Ember, and Tidehunter. All these matchups you absolutely just stomp. They're very tough matchups for them to go up against you. Heroes like Ursa, obviously when they get a nullifier, if it gets that late, they're gonna do something to you, but other than that, you could just constantly keep lasering the Ursa and kite him, and with your Aghanim Scepter, Ursa just cannot do a whole lot. If Ursa cannot burst you fast enough, he is just going to commit everything and not get anything in return. And heroes like Troll Warlord really don't like Tinker. Tinker's just way too fast for Troll to catch up to him and really lock him down and do something to him, unless you just really rush like an Abyssal or something, but you're gonna have nothing else in the game. You really don't want to do something like that. And heroes like Ember and Tidehunter are really countered by the way Tinker's Aghanim Scepter works and just how fast Tinker's mobility is. Ember can sort of keep up with the Tinker and kind of lock him down if he has the right item build, and you can build Yule Scepter on Ember. It just doesn't feel as great, and Mage Slayer is a pretty decent build up. However, I just think Ember just cannot keep up with the Tinker in most situations, as Ember does not have the mana pool, and once your Slight Chains is gone, you're not really going to be catching the Tinker. And some of the bad matchups are heroes like Anti-Mage, Invoker, Nyx Assassin, Night Stalker, and Enigma. These matchups are very good up against the Tinker. Night Stalker, I love the matchup, especially because Night Stalker likes to build a Basher, he likes to build a Nullifier, he likes to build a Harpoon. He can build so many things to make sure the Tinker is locked down. His vision is just always there. So one of the key things on Tinker is you want to be blinking into the trees. You don't like showing in the lane. You want to be always hidden away so you can't be targeted by heroes like Night Stalker or heroes like Spectre. These heroes that can easily target you and get on top of you. You don't want that to happen, so you're blinking in the trees. However, if a Night Stalker is nearby, he pops his ultimate. He can just stun lock you and take care of you that way. Even though the Translocator facet is going to be good, it's still not going to help you as much when you have a Night Stalker right on top of you, especially if the Night Stalker builds a Nullifier. There's heroes like Wind Ranger to build a Diffusal to try and counteract the Tinker. If he cannot get Defense Matrix off, that Translocator facet is not going to be helping you whatsoever. The whole purpose of the Translocator facet is to get off Defense Matrix so you can get that blink off while your blink is on cooldown. That is pretty much the way you go. But once you have no mana, there's nothing to do. That's why Anti-Mage is one of the strongest counters to Tinker. Once you get on top of him, burn his mana pool, there's nothing the Tinker is going to be able to do, and that's one of the reasons why you shut him down, or you just get a Nullifier and then you can really just start killing him constantly. But the damage will already be done. If you're focusing all these items and all this effort onto one hero, the rest of the enemy team is going to be targeting you even harder. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are Tinker spammers. I salute you. I think the hero is insanely tough to actually play at a high level. I think the hero takes a lot of skill to really master and play really well at. So I do salute when I see really good Tinker players out in the wild. I do salute them because it does take a lot of skill to play the hero at a higher level. But hopefully guys enjoyed the video and learned something. If you guys did, consider subscribing and joining the Dota Chronicles community. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.